Hi, this is Nia with the Rainbow Cauldron, and I'm here to do a reading for Strawberry, that's what we'll call her, and she would like to know, she's about to become a first-time mother, congratulations, and she wants to know, should she be a stay-at-home mom for a while, or should she go back to work? And she wants to know how that's going to affect her family, financially, emotionally, all that. And today I decided to use a yellow candle for her for clarity of thought. And her name is inscribed on this candle, and I put her energy into it. So clarity of thought. The incense we're using is a dragon's blood incense, and it's one of my favorite incenses, and that is for strength. And the stones we have on top of the selenite enhances energy. We have a citrine for clarity, a snowflake obsidian to remove any negative energy, any negative thoughts, worry, and we have a garnet for strength and courage. All right, we're using two decks today. One deck is going to represent her choice to stay at home, and the other deck is going to represent her choice to return back to work. This is the As Above and So Below Book of Shadows Tarot. And all right, these are already shuffled, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay these down. The first position down here is how the choice will affect you financially. And staying at home, we have the Three of Air. I'm going to show you the card here, Three of Air. And over on going back to work, we have the Five of Wands. Interesting. Five of Wands. Okay. The next position is how this choice will affect you emotionally. And for staying at home, we have the Elemental of Fire. Elemental of Fire. For work, we have the Ten of Wands. Wow. Okay. And the final position is how this choice will affect your baby, because that's one of your biggest concerns, is how this will affect your baby. And for staying at home, we have the Ace of Water. It's a very emotional card. Ace of Water. And for going back to work, how this will affect your baby, we have the Eight of Wands. Okay. All right. This down a little bit. Okay. For the Three of Air, this is how the choice will affect you financially and staying home. This is looking at a situation through a different lens. The image here is a woman scrying. She's using a crystal ball here, and she's scrying. She's uncertain and seeing through a new perspective. Staying home will be different for you. There will be sacrifices made, and you'll also have a new outlook on it. You know, as I stare at this, it kind of makes me think of someone who has an at-home job. Here we're seeing a woman who, using what is in her home already and what is in her possession to find the answers. Someone who scries, who uses scrying as a form of divination, looks for answers in reflective surfaces like mirrors or water. It's a form of looking within the self to find answers. Instead of looking outside of her home, she's for the financial security and the answers to her issue, she's using what she has at home within herself. And I see this as kind of a self-reliance sort of card. For going back to work, and how this will affect you financially, we have the Five of Wands. Arguing, fighting. This is a very work-looking card. We have a woman here who's and her colleagues, and they're arguing over some sort of project for work. And this to me indicates stress. You have you have what you need to provide, but it's taking stress and frustration to get it. And to me, that's a question you need to ask yourself. Is it worth it? And that's that position. Is it worth it? Because this is something that will cause a lot of stress. And the next position is, oh boy, this candle's going fast. It's already like halfway gone. The next position is how this will affect you emotionally. And for staying at home, we have the elemental of fire. There we go. This is a burst of energy. On the go, having a lot of energy. I see this meaning two things. I'm getting two meanings from this. For one, you'll be busy hustling and bustling with a new baby. Probably meeting lots of other new moms, having the energy to play with your new baby. The flip side to this is that you will have all this energy, but not enough places to utilize it, which could lead to boredom. And that's a common issue with stay-at-home parents. You know, sometimes boredom happens, and that's what I'm seeing here. A lot of energy, but maybe not a lot of different places to utilize that energy. For going back to work, how this will affect you emotionally. We have the Ten of Wands, and this is pretty easy. And this card immediately jumped out to me when I laid it down. This woman is overworked. Notice how she's coming home so late at night that she has to use the light on her phone to open the door. And she's got way too much in her hands to handle the situation. She needs to put some of her things down before she can unlock the door. This very much reminds me of the previous card with the stressful situation. Whereas the elemental of fire indicates a possible excess of unused energy, with the Ten of Wands here, we're seeing a total drain of energy. Just too much to handle and feeling drained. And the final position is how these choices will affect the baby. For being a stay-at-home mom, we have the Ace of Water. Total emotional connection, a oneness with you, strong emotional bond, a positive relationship. The symbolism here is an athame, which is a ritual knife, I guess you could say, a ritual blade, descending into a chalice. And the symbolism here is the union of the god and goddess in Wiccan theology, mythology. The god and goddess joining. Obviously, that's, meaning, sex and, things like that. But what that really means is a union, a bond, a joining together. And that's what I feel here, is that staying home with your baby would really enforce a really strong emotional bond, a positive relationship. And what we see over here, and this is a positive card too. I know these two cards were fairly negative, depending on how you looked at it. This card is pretty positive. And this is the Eight of Wands. And it's independence, doing things on her own. And I think that's one thing a lot of kids with both parents who work, um, tend to maybe sometimes do better at, is establishing an independence, doing things on their own, learning things on their own. Um, and, and that's a very positive thing. I don't think that's a negative thing at all. And the great thing about this situation here is both of these choices don't seem to have an ill effect on your child. Um, with staying home or getting a strong emotional bond, maybe it's probably not as strong if you're not around as much, and I think that's to be expected. But what we're also saying here, what the trade-off here is, we're getting a lot of independence on this one, which maybe this one's lacking a little bit. Maybe the child in this situation is maybe a little too attached. And I'm not, you know, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Some women would prefer that, and that's fine. That's their choice. Um, I'm just saying what's coming up here. In this situation, we're getting more independence. In this situation, we're getting an emotional bond. And so that's what we're seeing here. That's your reading. We're seeing maybe some boredom over here, but a strong emotional bond with your baby, and viewing things in a new light, a new lens. Not necessarily looking at your situation as a bad thing, and maybe possibly some sort of home business. And then over here, we're seeing, well, the financial security, but a lot of stress, especially in these two cards. We're seeing a lot of stress, and maybe too much to handle. But, it does provide an opportunity for your child to grow independently. So this is the choice you need to make. Now that the priorities and the details of the situation are laid out, you have to decide which is best for you and your family. Do you want a strong emotional attachment that you may not get if you go back to work, and the opportunities in there, but also risking being bored? Or do you want to take on the challenge of all the stress that that being a working mother would have for you, and but maybe risking that emotional bond, that strong emotional bond? I mean, of course, you would still have an emotional bond, but maybe it wouldn't be as strong when you're not around. And with this situation, we are seeing less cash flow. Okay, so that's the reading, and that's really the question you need to ask. Which is more important? And I hope this reading really helped. Sometimes it's really helpful to just have the details laid out. That way you can make your own choice about what's best for you. I hope this helps, and good luck.